Hello, everybody. My name is Debbie Solaris, and I am a Galactic historian, an Akashic Records channeler, and an ET contactee. And today we're going to continue with our series of celebrity readings. However, I'm going to do something a little different today. Rather than focusing on just one individual reading, I wanted to focus on two individuals that I think have a kind of interesting soul contract with one another. And the two individuals I'm going to be looking at as far as their Akashic records is, interestingly enough, Kendrick Lamar and also Drake. My team and I were talking the other day, and we thought, in lieu of the recent Super Bowl and with Kendrick Lamar being featured as being the performer for the halftime show for the Super Bowl, it might be really interesting to look at his rivalry that he has with Drake. Like, why are those two at odds with one another? Because they're actually both very accomplished entertainers and musicians. I thought it would be super interesting to check in on their Akashic records and see if they have a soul contract or if they had past lives together. So I'm not going to go through the whole Akashic process today. I've already done that just because I think it's going to just take a lot of time as we're looking at two quite individual souls here. So what I would like to do is just jump straight into their reading and see what they're all about. So the first person I'm going to concentrate on is Kendrick Lamar. Now, Kendrick's full name is Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, and he was born in Compton, California. I think he was born to a very poor family, but I think his talents became very apparent, throughout his upbringing. He got noticed and got signed on to, a music label and has been performing ever since. Interestingly enough, as I was doing my research on Kendrick, he's super accomplished. This man is very, very accomplished as far as his music career. Now, I didn't know this. I was actually just looking at some of my notes. Kendrick Lamar actually was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Music in 2018. And I thought, wow, whoever gets the Pulitzer Prize for music that is not a classical or jazz artist. I think he's actually the only non-classical and jazz artist that's been awarded this particular award. In addition to that, he has received 22 Grammys, one Emmy Award, 4 American Music Awards, 11 MTV Awards, 7 Bulletin Music Awards, and 1 Brit Award. So this is a very accomplished individual. I think a lot of people see him performing at the halftime show, and he's wearing, hip hop clothing and, has that kind of persona that looks rough and tough. But this is a person that actually is quite talented. Now, when I did check into his Akashic records, I did discover that he came from Orion. You're going to see a theme here with a lot of these very successful musicians and very successful entertainers, that a lot of them are connected to the Orion star system. And I do have a theory about all that I'm going to share in a future video. But what I see with Kendrick is that he came from one of the belt stars. So not Mintaka, but Analam, which is the middle belt star. At the time, in the lifetime I saw in the records, he and Drake, who I'm going to go ahead and check into in a moment, were actually born as brothers. So they were born as brothers in Analam. So they both were originated from this star system. They were very close at one time. I think that's why you see a lot of similarities and also a lot of differences between these two performers. But what I saw in the records is that Kendrick actually joined the Black League resistance fighters. So he was all about personal freedom, all about sovereignty, and really believed and wanted to take a stance against personal human suffering and abolishment of slavery and human trafficking. And so he joined the resistance fighters. Now, Drake, in that past life in Orion, where he was Kendrick's brother, actually did quite the opposite. He joined the Empire. So he became part of the Empire and became kind of like a spy, or he worked in intelligence for the Empire. And so those two that were originally very close became very polarized against each other. And I think this is playing out even in their current lifetime here on Earth. Because honestly, when I look at the two of them, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of similarities between them. There's some differences, obviously, in their musical style, but, there's a lot of similarities in their career, in their musical careers. So why are they at odds with each other? And I think it has to do with this Orion lifetime, that they're still playing out lessons that carried over from that previous life when they first started off in Analam, which is one of the belt stars in Orion. Now, with Drake, who is also known, he is known as Aubrey Drake Graham. That's what he was born. He was born in Toronto, Canada. And interestingly enough, he also, very similar to Kendrick, was doing music, very early on in his life. He was actually born to a musician. His father were kind of estranged from each other for a while. I think his father had to return to the United States. So Drake actually has dual citizenship. He's an American citizen and also a Canadian citizen, but he was mostly raised in Canada. Drake, also, like Kendrick, has had a slew of awards. He's had 5 Grammys, 6 American Music Awards, 2 Brit Awards, 39 Billboard Awards, and 3 Juno Awards, amongst his many accomplishments. And he's been on the music scene for quite a while. And like I said, I think he has quite a different style than Kendrick, in that he likes to combine R&B tunes with hip hop. And I think what's really notable about Drake, he actually had a long-standing relationship with Rihanna. And I also get an Orion connection with Rihanna. I do get Mintonkin with her. She's has that kind of mermaid Pisces personality, and Drake is a Scorpio, so it would make sense that those two feel very connected with one another. Drake has also claimed that every romantic song that he's created or written and performed, he's had a lot of songs around his relationship with Rihanna. It seems like there's a very strong soul contract between those two, even though they're not currently together at this time. Rihanna, as many of you know, is now, I think, in a long-standing relationship with A$AP Rocky, and they seem to be doing very well. They have 2 children together, and, it seems like they're pretty happy. But I still feel this connection that Drake has with Rihanna, and who knows, maybe, they'll collaborate together on some projects like they have done in the past. I think she's been featured on some of his musical tunes and music. So now, like I mentioned before, Drake took a very different turn in his past Orion lifetime, where he actually worked for the dark. And you kind of see that even in his lifetime today. He's all about the glitz and the glamour and, the lavish lifestyle. He just lives it all up. And I think that's how he was even in Orion, where I think that's why he joined the Empire, because they probably promised him fame and riches and power, So in contrast to that, let's get back to Kendrick. Kendrick actually, for being as well known and as famous as he is, actually lives a very understated lifestyle. He's very private. I know he's been married to the same woman for quite a while, and he's actually married to her. They have 2 children together. And he lives a very quiet, private life. He doesn't really get involved with all the Hollywood glitz and glamour and all that stuff. He's stays pretty much to himself. What I liked about his halftime performance at the Super Bowl is that there was a lot of symbolism in his performance, with the red, white, and blue, and with Samuel Jackson playing Uncle Sam. And and SZA, also doing her thing, also performing along with him. And I think he's also had a relationship with her at some point. But he's also, I think, was trying to make a stance against injustice. He sang out and criticized pedophilia throughout the entertainment industry, for instance, and, injustices all throughout, with his music. And so I think this is some of his light side coming through. So even though he is enmeshed in the famous world and the entertainment world, I think he is trying to use his fame to speak out against the injustices here on planet Earth. And he did that in kind of an understated way with his halftime show. That's kind of like my insight on the two of them. I do think Drake and Kendrick have this long-standing rivalry with each other because they're still playing out their differences from their Orion lifetimes. It's just kind of like this thing where I think they need to play it out, and they're doing it in this current life. But I do hope that at some point they do find some resolution so that they can close out this karma between them and hopefully find some peace and healing, with the past life that they had. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out this reading today. And as always, I do want to thank both Kendrick Lamar's and Drake's higher self and higher guidance for allowing me this insight to share with the rest of you. And, hopefully you have found some value in the information I've shared today. The other thing I also want to mention is that if you like this kind of content, if you like, the series I'm doing, please always make sure maybe to give me a like or to share the video or even to subscribe to my channel. It always helps, and I appreciate the love and support. Many blessings to all of you. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.